here we go again, talking about the old GameStop.
Foosball. You playing the foosball behind my back?
I made a community post the other day talking about this video being in the works, and I got some good responses. And of course, a lot of people were one commenter always had to say, when was GameStop ever cool? Obviously, before it was GameStop, there was a bunch of great stores out there. Funko Land, Software Etc. was the one I had. Software Etc. was what we had in the mall before GameStop kind of took over. They Disney'd everybody. They bought everybody out, and they kind of just moved in, and they put stores on every corner. I mean, ridiculously, stores on every corner, it seemed like. When I'd go to my local bigger city, Sioux City, I think there was at one point 4 or 5 GameStops in that town, which is insane. But there was some good sides to GameStop back in the day. I think over the years, obviously, they've lost it due to corporate greed, and just in general, just this digital era is kind of starting to kill them, guys. But it's like, is that good? Is that bad? Are they going to even be missed? Because let's be honest, I predicted this a few years ago that GameStop obviously was going to start disappearing. Physical media is starting to go down on a slump, and that's what they're based off of. So they tried selling Funkos. They started trying to push collectibles, and then they were only really pushing brand new games. A lot of people have said this. Fellow YouTubers and everything have mentioned that in order for GameStop to sell itself, they should have started selling retro back again after the COVID. When the prices skyrocketed. Why did Skype? All right. Yeah, we can't talk right today, but that was it. That they should have started selling retro right after COVID, or never stopped in general. When they stopped selling retro games or taking them in, I think that was a big mistake on their part. I just wanted to showcase this because I saw this on Facebook the other day and it made me think. So Halo Game is a page that I follow on Facebook, and I've seen this post up. It says the best gaming era is truly over. Selling things to them was a nightmare, but the midnight launch parties will never be matched. They ennobled us, all of us, and they shall not be forgotten. So here was just an image of GameStop, one of the many that had been closing, and just kind of showing how bare and isolate and lonely it looks in there. This is insane. But this is what's going to happen, guys. Now, a lot of you will say that, it's just because people aren't buying physical media and stuff anymore, and I think this was just a long time coming for the company. They've been doing a lot of shady stuff lately and just kind of doing some stuff in the shadows. I know a lot of people were disappointed when they just up and canceled their gaming magazine, and they just one day was just like, oh, we're done. Game Informer, I think it was done. Didn't tell people to give them a heads up, just you're not getting next month's episode or next month's issue. And just in general, like I said, like the big thing that he mentioned is it was a nightmare to trade stuff in, and it was. I mean, you can go in there, it wouldn't take you very long. But a lot of times if you had let's say you bought a brand new game for $60, you played it for 2 weeks, beat it and brought it in, a lot of times it felt like they'd only give you like $20, $25. It was like dealing with a car dealership, Hey, I'm going to trade in my vehicle because I want to buy this one. What can you give it for me? Look it up in the Kelley Blue Book. Private sell it for about $6,000. The dealer's going to give you $2,000 for it because obviously they're going to try to resell it for more and make profit. Meanwhile, they're probably already making profit off the vehicle they're selling you. And that's the same with video games for these guys. But the main reason I want to talk about some of this was the positive things that GameStop did at one point have going for it. Now, obviously, I talked earlier about how the company beforehand that we had locally in the mall was Software Etc. Now, this place was, what do I want to say, a hole in the wall. You just walked in there and there was games stacked upon games. There was no organization. It was just like, okay, Xbox 360 over here, PS3 over here, PS2 over here, stuff like that. It wasn't like, what do I want to, yeah, it was chaos, but it was a blast. I freaking loved it. I remember, obviously this is kind of PTSD for game trading in, but I remember one time when the PS2 and stuff started coming out, but before that a little bit, I had brought in a bunch of, I had heard from a friend's brother that you could go to that store, you could bring in your old video games, and they will give you credit or money for them. And I was like, really, people will buy these? Because beforehand we were just trading them to each other, or maybe even selling them to your friends for a couple bucks just because you were wanting something else. So I remember bagging up a huge bag of games, and it was sad to me nowadays because it was like games that I absolutely loved, uh, PS1 era RPGs and everything. And I remember taking that bag full of games and getting about $150 and just feeling like a freaking king. I was able to get a couple games that I never played before, and I was busy for a while. So now you're gonna say, well, that doesn't seem that negative. Well, it turns out later on in life, I looked up, obviously the value of those games, and they probably are closer to about $1,000 nowadays. Obviously, the market's inflated and stuff, but even at that time, they were expensive games, and I probably was getting $10 to $15 a piece for them. But that was what they talked about when they say that it was a nightmare to trade stuff in. Obviously, you would get ripped off all the time, but it's a business, and that's how they made money. Now, when software, etc., was in its prime, when I would used to go, like I said, you'd have employees that loved video games talking about video games, even recommending games to you. And then just one day, like I said, it got Disneyed. GameStop came in and bought all of them. And then on top of them, they started putting them on every corner, it felt like. And it just got kind of, at first it wasn't bad. It's like with any kind of corporate takeover or new boss, he wants to be your friend. He wants to give you the good deals. He wants to give you the cool stuff. You could sign on and get that GameStop membership for dirt cheap. You got special deals. You got, the Game Informer monthly came to your house, which was cool. It showcased all the new games and everything like that. They used to have launch parties and everything that went on. So basically, you could show up at midnight of a launch of a new game, and you can go in there and have a blast. And it's just, and you got something cool usually. And then it was just a community-driven, more fun stuff. And just over the years, it really stopped doing that. It was not, I don't know, it just seemed like it wasn't profitable or wasn't something. These companies just stopped pushing these midnight launches. Now, it might be because, well, if you pre-order digitally, you pay for it then, you can pre-download the game, so right at midnight, you could just start playing it. I remember, God, what was that? When Dark Souls 2, I believe, got released on Xbox One, I pre-order bought it because everybody told me it was such a great game. And so I remember pre-order buying it, and it starting to download, and I was like, whoa. So I wouldn't play this early access. Well, it just downloaded the game, but it had something on it that blocked it from being able to actually play. So you didn't get to play it right away. But as soon as midnight of that release date went, it was accessible. So I think the last midnight launch party I remember going to is me and a coworker. We worked at Godfather's at the time, and Halo Reach came out. And I remember we got off work, I think about 10:30 at night, and closed up Godfather's. It's a pizza place, a local pizza place around the Midwest. And we drove to the local town, the Walmart, and it was a 24 hours thing. And that's kind of the sad stuff nowadays. A lot of these Walmarts aren't even 24 hours anymore. But that's another video. But I remember we got there, we got in line. There was probably about 15, 20 people just waiting in line. I just got the standard Halo Reach, but some of the other guys had gotten some better edition ones, so they got some cool stuff with theirs from Walmart when they got it. And I think they were even giving out some shirts, something like that. I can't remember. But I mean, it was just, even though it was a small community thing like that, it was really fun. Like, I met a couple gamers that I never met before, and I think my buddy got a couple of their gamer tags. I really didn't like to play too much online. I would just want a Halo Reach for the single campaign. But he got a couple of their gamer tags and stuff like that. So, and then I remember we went straight back to our houses. I went back to my house. He went back to his house. And we immediately got on and started co-oping the campaign. And I remember just playing for a few hours. And that was all on account of fun stuff like midnight launches. And that's what I'm going on, is I believe that GameStop ruined it for themselves by stopping to do stuff like this. I don't understand why not. Now, I understand why the one in the mall couldn't do it, because the mall's not open 24/7, so you can't obviously do a midnight launch. But like I said, they had stores everywhere, and then they just stopped doing it. I really kind of want to look up, or if anybody wants to comment below, I don't even know, do they even do midnight launch parties anymore? Like, does any store do them? Because I'd be interested to see that, if it ever happens again. Like I said, there's no stores around here that are open 24/7 anymore. After COVID, my local Walmart started closing at like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night. when it used to be a 24/7 one. It was only closed on Christmas Day, I believe. That was the only day out of the year it was closed, was Christmas Day, which is nuts to think about now. But how much you guys comment below? What I know a lot of people, you know, saying GameStop kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But it at one point was kind of a fun store to go to. Like I said, software, etc. was chaos, guys. But when GameStop took over, they organized it. They had more games. They had a little bit more kind of going on. The only bad part was that there was some employees that had no experience with gaming. They were just hired on. So I remember one guy didn't know nothing about games, and I kind of asked him, like, did you play this? Is this a good game? And he even admitted to me, he's like, dude, I don't even have a video game console. I don't play video games. I just work here. But there was obviously some guys in there that were passionate. I remember one time I think I bought a Divinity 2 for Xbox 360, and I brought it home and I hated it. I didn't like it at all. So the next day we were going back to town, so I was just like, well, I'll just take it back to GameStop, get some credit, I guess, even though I just paid almost full price for it, and just find a different game because I absolutely hated it. But I remember going to a different GameStop and telling him exactly that. I said, I even got my receipt. You know, I said, I bought this yesterday at the other GameStop, and I did not like it at all. He was nice enough to be like, well, crap, man. Here, I'll just give you a refund on it and go pick a different game. So, and then he ended up actually recommending Borderlands to me, which had just come out. He's like, do you like RPGs? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, do you like shooter games? I'm like, yeah. He's like, well, this is kind of both. He says, a loot and shoot game. You're going to love it. Check it out. And I remember getting home and turning it on and just absolutely loving it right out the bat. So it was a great recommendation. I think that's one thing I would miss about it is employees that worked at these game stations, at game stores, that were actually passionate about stuff and could talk about gaming with. But yep, I don't know what you guys think about this video in the comments below. You know, do you see any more launch parties anymore? I mean, it's hard with digital era. Like, why would I want to, you know, if I'm going to buy a game prior, I'm going to pre-order a game. I know they really push digital stuff now. But is there even a point in going to a physical launch party? I would love to, you know, with games like the new Metal Gear Solid, Snake Eater and stuff coming out, Delta, I would love to, when I'm on night shift and have a night off, go to a local store to see a launch party. But the sad part is that they don't do them anymore. So, and I want to know too, do you guys think GameStop's ruined? I hear from a lot of people there are so many of the stores closing down now. Now, granted, like I said, they used to be on every corner, and it just oversaturated with them. They were like Subways, it felt like. But yeah, it's just nuts. And I'm looking at this image right now, and it's just sad. So let me know what you guys think about this in the comments below. As always, stay retro, my friends, and we will see you in the next video. God bless, guys.